Hi guys, thanks for joining me here on the channel. I've got a great video for you today. We're going to look at 3 different control surface options for VMix. Now, we can see here on the desk, I've got the Steamdeck XL, I've got the XKeys 124 T-Bar, and I have the Scarhoist Airfly Pro version 3 with Blue Pill inside. Thank you very much to Eastwood Sound and Vision for supplying the Skaarhoj panel, the Scarhoist Airfly Pro version 3 for an extended demo period for me to get my head around, have a look at it, see how it feels. And also I thought, well, hey, I've got the Scarhoij here in the studio. Let's make a nice video where we talk about the advantages and we compare these different control surfaces. So I've kind of got this set up here and I've got my full VMix system running and I'm basically going to do this live. So let's see how we get on with that. I might have to use a little bit of B-roll here and there to show you these devices and also to cut out any waffling that I might do. I'm going to try to keep this brief, but there's a lot to talk about. So grab yourself a cup of tea, sit down and, enjoy. And let me know if you have any comments or thoughts, or indeed have any other control surfaces that you want to talk about or that you think I need to be aware of. Please let me know. So without further ado, let's get into it. Got this little Steamdeck pip here for you to kind of see the Steamdeck in a bit of a closer detail as I talk about how we can configure it. So you can see here that I have my VMix project with 3 or 4 camera inputs here, and I can preview them as so. And then on the Steamdeck, you'll see that the lights are changing as we change the cameras and sources in the preview window. So that's very nice indeed. So I am using the Companion software to program and control what the Steamdeck is doing. So if I pull up Companion here, you can see the interface is nice, clean, and it is available for a very low cost, I think, from Bitfocus.io. So please check out Bitfocus.io where you can get this software and you can try it out yourself with the Steamdeck XL. Now the Steamdeck, nice build quality. The buttons themselves, to press them, feel okay. Feel pretty nice. Now, it must be said, if you are cutting for a long period of time with these keys, it can feel a little bit, you have to be wary of the double press with them. They're very easy to kind of like do 2 presses on, so you have to be very, I pressed it, yeah, nice light touch, and that kind of seems to work. So let's just talk about the software. Now, you can obviously control the Steamdeck software using, well, the Steamdeck software, right? Steamdeck have an application that you can use to control various things, many different applications, video edit software, grading software, I don't know, all sorts of things. Lighting, they have lights that you can make turn on and off, right? Lovely. But here we're just kind of focused on how Companion works with VMix. And you basically set up your modules here, and these are devices that you want to control with your Steamdeck. So you can see here that I have a few different things that I am controlling. So I've got VMix, Blackmagic ATEM, a hyperdeck, a couple of hyperdecks, and Birdog NDI encoder. Now, basically, you go into here and you type the IP address of your target device. So I have my hyperdecks on static IPs, so they're always on the same IP. So I basically plug in the Steamdeck. Once the Steamdeck is plugged in, that is it. It will target that IP and will have an OK connection. So that means that when I come in here into my VMix, I then have these devices available when I come in to program the buttons on the Steamdeck. So we click this buttons tab here, and then we basically get a nice tactile kind of way of moving our sources around. So you can see here that I've got this Ben cam labeled. Well, I changed that on a previous take, That might be cam 2, but that just shows you how easy it is to change what it says on the buttons of the Stream Deck, right? One of the key advantages for me of the Stream Deck is the ability to just kind of move things around using Companion. So let's say I want to move this stop record button here and I want to move it underneath the other one. So I just click move, click the source I want to move, and then click the destination that I want to move it to. And that's really nice because you could be on the fly adjusting things while you're doing a show, or even just right up to the moment that you're going to go on air. You can change the layout accordingly. If you have multiple Stream Decks connected, this is where it gets kind of cool. So if you've got multiple Stream Decks connected, you can basically just have 2 or 3 of these XL devices connected, and they will make themselves, they appear as pages. So you can have page 2 as the second Stream Deck, and that can be controlling an ATEM. So if you need to control an ATEM at the same time, perhaps that's feeding some screens, displays in a room, or just some graphics, or doing something else, or playback, you can control the ATEM at the same time through this one interface of Companion. And I think that is really where it starts to shine. You can control, this caller talk to main, or talk to caller 1. This here was doing some audio routing from another project, but basically this is how you set up a button that you can talk to your callers if you're doing VMix call remote callers. So you can have that, a talkback button specifically for your callers that is there on the Stream Deck, which is very, very cool and makes your life easier when you're trying to do 3 different things at the same time and you need to maybe brief some callers who are about to come on air. So that's that really. I mean, we can also change the feedback here. You can see that in this area we have the background color green, which is a feedback for the key state. VMix tally preview state indicates if an input is in preview. Brilliant. Okay, so as I said, if I press if I change these preview buttons, or let me do it on here, you can see there that the preview source is changing. I can show you in VMix as well. We have the different sources swapping around like so. I'm not going to affect what's on program. Yeah, so that is basically Stream Deck and Companion. Really good price point, nice build quality, very small, highly portable. I think that's really the key advantage here of the Stream Deck. It's so portable, it's still quite rugged, and it's very affordable. A couple of $100 for a Stream Deck XL. They do have a new model with kind of some rotary encoders on it. Haven't had a chance to look at that, but if you don't need that many sources, that might also be an option if you want to control a microphone level or something like that. So if you buy a Stream Deck, but you think, well, how long will my investment last me? If you've bought a Stream Deck, I can guarantee that you are going to, even if you upgrade to another panel, you will still use the Stream Deck for things like, bringing on titling guests. If you have 4 guests, you can have them going on 4 buttons from camera left to camera right, Jane, Jamal, Peter, whatever these people are called, I don't know. But at least if you have them like sequentially as to where they are situated on the screen, it's going to be easier for you to remember and really easy to recall. Similarly, if you just have, if you're going to hand off your show, maybe you have a lot of graphics to bring on and off, little lower thirds, little bugs that come up. You can hand off the Stream Deck to another operator, and they can just sit and press those buttons at exactly the right time. As long as they're programmed and laid out and effectively and thoughtfully, then it's a fantastic device for that exact purpose. So the Stream Deck will always be a central part of my workflow and pretty much many VMix operators out there, and anyone that's going to kind of do anything serious with the software. Stream Deck, Companion, enough said. Right, what we're going to do now is we're going to move on. We're going to move on to the XKeys. Oh yeah, it's time for the XKeys. Right, now here we have our XKeys. Now let me show you how we're going to program the XKeys. We're going to use this awesome piece of software, which is very elegantly designed. I must say, it is very elegantly made. This is Central Control Pro. Check out Central Control. Check out the website. Check out the videos on YouTube. There's plenty of content out there. And Joda Max has some excellent in-depth tutorials on some really advanced stuff that you can do with this software, whether that is controlling ATEM macros, moving super source boxes around the screen. They have a countdown timer, you know, a whole load of stuff. Let me see, they have auto cue in there as well via NDI. Some very cool stuff that you can do. I think that might be the elite version of the software. I think they have a pro and an elite, but go to the website, check it out. It's really elegant and very, very straightforward and easy to use and pick up. So the thing with it is that if I just get rid of me so you can see up here. So we have here the different devices. So we've got the Steamdeck, we've got the XKeys 124 T-Bar, and then we have VMix itself. So here we have the IP address of the VMix and the port, and then basically we have the XKeys 124 T-Bar. Now the programming of this is quite straightforward. It basically involves just kind of going in and choosing this controls feature. When the controls feature pops up, we have a whole set of matrices where you can access all of the keys on your Steamdeck device. Now, if I click jump to control here, and then I'm going to, let me just put that pip back up. I want to show you how these preview keys are programmed, but it works the same for all the keys. So I've got jump to control selected. I'm going to hit preview input number 3. And input number 3 is now in my preview window. And you can see that it's jumped to that exact key. Now these are rows 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So it's matrix 8, 3. So row 8, button 3. And you can see here that we have the numbers on the keys. And number 3 is VMix set mix preview. That's the command that has been used there. So you can see that this is currently mix 1 and input number 3. We do have this quick assign feature where you can basically click that. If you're going through lots of inputs sequentially, like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, you can then kind of really quickly program those keys in that row. It will jump straight to the next key, and it will automatically increment the input number for you. So it's a really fast way of basically kind of getting configured and getting your control surface keys to do what you want them to do. And I think that is one of the key things here with all of this stuff is, you know, how long will it take me to program my show to kind of configure everything the way that it makes sense to me as an operator, or that it will make sense to my director or my vision mixer, whoever it may be. The other thing you can do is you can set the feedback in here. So if I click set button feedback, you can see that we have the different colors for the different matrix. So if I was to go to 8 and 1 or 8, 3, which is that preview row, you can see that it's set to blue. Similarly, so on the controller, that is blue. Now, if I change it to magenta, I have to click off there to show you, but if I then click back, you can see that it's now changed the feedback there to being magenta, which is lovely. Now, this is my main sort of gripe with the XKeys, really, is wouldn't it be nice if we could have down here green? I think that would make it just a little bit more classy. I don't know. I mean, I'm going to change that back to blue. It's yeah. To me, it's a bit of a shame that you're limited by these colors, but you know the actual device itself is nice. You know, it's pretty good. It doesn't. You know, it's not too bad. It's well made, well thought out. It comes with these little kind of levers, and you basically unscrew you pull out these black sort of spaces that you have here, and you insert the keys however you want them to be. And then you can program the keys. So, you know, you could be moving in and out points for replay over here. You could have, you know, overlays. You could have various things going on. Now, I had this set up previously for a production where basically I had ME2, output 2 from VMix, that was feeding some screens inside a venue, inside the room next door, and I was basically cutting some graphics for those screens just so that I had something on them. And we could also have brought a PowerPoint in or something like that if they decided that they wanted that. Or, you know, whatever that might be, just some looping VT so there was some like nice branded display going on in the room. So that is one of the cool things about this particular controller with VMix is you've got enough buttons down here that you can see here. I had 4 cameras, I had a number of VTs, 6 VTs, and I was able to just kind of set those VTs to autoplay, and then, you know, bang, just hit the program window, and then the VT will play out. And I used camera tape to differentiate the 2 different ME rows, so output 1 and output 2. And, you know, it's quick, but my only thing with it is it doesn't look as professional as perhaps you might desire. But it does the job, and the keys feel really nice to cut on. I think that is something that, you know, we must sort of say. They are really nice under the fingers, and if you're cutting really positive, bam, bam, take that. If you're hot cutting, I mean, obviously I'm just doing this on the preview, but they feel good, right? They feel good, and that is kind of half the battle with the Steamdeck, is especially if you're cutting fast, you're cutting to music, or, you know, anything where you're doing reverse shots maybe, or, you know, you're kind of following a conversation on 2 different cameras. It starts to hurt your fingers after half an hour, whereas the XKeys 124 definitely does not quite so much. So, you know, that's kind of what I would say is my kind of take on this. It's still quite an expensive piece of equipment, but it's very well made, and you can configure it yourself. You can get stuff out of the box to work with this. You don't need to use central control, but I would highly recommend that you do. If you basically download, if you have this pre-configuration here, which is the 124 pre-configured layout, you just follow the map that they provide when you buy this device. You can download from the Pi Engineering website a bunch of shortcuts that you can then load into your VMix, into your VMix software. So you load those shortcuts in, and they are then ready to go. So the only disadvantage I would say or the main disadvantage with doing that is it's not as configured. It's quite tricky and time consuming to go into VMix, into the shortcuts menu, and to start changing the way that the shortcuts are working, especially when you use that preset. So quickly I binned that and went to central control, and central control makes life very, very easy and straightforward. Obviously it's still going to take you time to sit there and kind of, yeah, I need this to do this and this to do that. And that is about that preparation, right? That's about working before you do the show. What am I going to do to make the buttons do what I need them to do for this show? Even for obviously for this production, I've kind of sat here and I've figured out what I need to do and where my sources are and what buttons I need to press, and had some vague idea of when I'm going to press them. So that is basically everything that I was going to talk about with the XKeys 124 T-Bar. It's not an entry-level product because it's still $800, right? It's still quite expensive, but there's an awful lot you can do with it, and it's certainly, in terms of the tactile feel of it, when you're actually cutting a show and you're cutting cameras, graphics, and so forth, it definitely feels more positive than the Steamdeck, and is particularly for cutting cameras is really good. And, you know, I don't see why, no reason why this can't be used in highly professional setups, broadcast scenarios. I think it comes with a really nice long USB extension cable as well, which is always nice. So you're not worried about kind of how can I reach my computer. You've got a nice long USB cable, so even if your computer PC is in a rack, as mine is here next to you, there's no problems with getting your cable to where it needs to be, which is great. So finally, we're going to talk today about the Scarhoist Airfly Pro version 3. Now, it must be said that this really is a beautifully made panel. There has been a lot of thought. You can see as soon as you look at it and you feel it, you touch it, you can see that there has been a lot of thought put into this. And here I am changing the transitions and playing with this beautiful Hall Effect T-bar. Look at that. Come on. Who doesn't love a T-bar? I didn't talk about it with the XKeys 124 T-bar, but hey, the clue's in the name. Now, this T-bar has this beautiful kind of like this LED display that shows you what percentage you're at. And as I say here, if I just bring up the Skaarhoj pip, I've got the 2 box there. So the 2 box here shows you the Skaarhoj. Now, I have this kind of set up. This will basically allow me to change those transitions. So cross zoom or fly rotate. That's quite a nice one actually, isn't it? Especially for a demo like this. Okay, so that is that. Now let's bring that pip back up. Now, here in this pip, we can see on the right hand side, we've got Reactor, which is the Scarhoij software that you use to configure the panel, to detect your panel, auto detect your panel, and then to basically make it talk to VMix. Now, this panel has Blue Pill inside, and I was a little bit confused, I must say, by the marketing with Skaarhoj, because they basically say that there's a line in there where it says you don't enjoy the benefits of Unisketch anymore. Now, coming from someone without these, outside of the Skaarhoj universe, as they call it, or the Skaarhoj ecosystem, it kind of didn't make a lot of sense to me. So this is kind of one reason why I really want to get my hands on one to understand what is this Blue Pill inside. How is it different? Does it really matter that it's different? For me, no. It basically means that these device cores can now run on the device itself. You don't need anything else to connect to your devices. The Skaarhoj is a premium product, there is no doubt about that, and it does indeed come with a premium price tag to match. Now, I put together this little pip here, which will show you the panel, me, and also the Skaarhoj Reactor software. Now, the Reactor software is, I must admit, I found it a little bit tricky to begin with. I did find it a little bit difficult and had to have some patience in order to feel like I was kind of getting somewhere and making it do what I wanted it to do. So you'll see that we have these the Airfly Pro here. Now this is where you choose the layout of the panel. Now what is very clever about it is it will just pull all of this in automatically out of the box. There are 3 main areas in the Reactor software. We've got this home screen here, then configuration, and then some settings and some other menus and the simulator. Now over here we have devices, and this is devices you want to control with Reactor, with your panel. And so we can see here that I have VMix set up. Now they only have VMix version 24 in there, and I'm running the latest version of VMix 26 today, but we can see that it seems to work, so very good there. It was just a case of putting the target IP address in and making sure that your panel is on the same subnet, same IP address range, and then you are good to go. Over here we have this area where we can choose different layouts for different switches. So here I've gone with the VMix Small, which gives us 24 inputs. So 24 inputs is plenty for doing exactly what we are doing today, and basically it pre-lays out your panel in order to kind of for you then to configure the show. Now, it took me a while to figure this out, but if you click VMix inputs here, it gives you at the bottom of the screen your 24 inputs. And what is beautiful here, if I bring up this again. Now, the fantastic thing about this is that it's drag and drop. So you can label these sources using this alternative label function here in this column. And you can basically just call the sources anything you want. So you can see that I've got, let me just bring that up full screen again for you. You can see that I've got these labeled XKeys pip, Skaarhoj 2 box, Skaarhoj 3 box, NDI capture, that's my screen capture, and then camera 1, 2, 3, and 4, and then the pip all 2 box. So let me show you, that one is this pip here. So that is on input, it's actually input 9, but I've reordered it in here. Let's say I want to move these around on the Skaarhoj controller. That is very, very straightforward to do. So I'm going to give you the 2 box there with the Skaarhoj. If I want to move, let's say I want to move my NDI capture to the 5th key along, I just drag and drop, move that, let go, and you can see it just moves straight away on the controller. So that is very, very nice. Very easy and quick to reorder what the keys are doing, how they're working. I have overlays over here. So if I just talk through the sections briefly, we have stingers up here. If you have stingers loaded in, you can automatically fire those stingers off. We have external on and off. I'm not going to turn that off because that's my external output of my program being recorded by my hyperdecks. Record and stream. Here we have a whiz button, which it relates to this area of the controller here, which is a PTZ whiz that is built into the controller. So you can add cameras in. If you were to add in this camera selector over here, you can add cameras, and this is where you would discover devices such as PTZs that are connected on your network. So we don't have any PTZs connected today, so we can't really demo this area, but I think it's nice that you have a little D-pad here that you can kind of pan and move cameras around, and you can definitely add cameras. So for example, this might be nice for I'm thinking about using a Sony FR7 alongside the FX9s, FX6s. It might be nice to just be able to have tactile control of that one camera just through the director's control panel. You know, if you're only going to have a number of presets, the presets appear here, and these are where you can record PTZ presets using this whiz. Let's say we don't have that today, so we can't look at it. Over here we've got our standard transitions, the cut and auto, fade to black, and then pressing the shift key I can access any other sources that are in my program. So these are from number 13 through to 24. But again, you can reorder these sources, so you could have graphics on here that you want to fire off on your second layer. So you press shift and you just have to program an audio show in such a way that will allow you to do that. So yeah, very cool. The beautiful displays above each key are really a nice feature. You know, they are really nice. There's no doubt about it. For me, it really does look, I would say, you know, more professional having these displays than the tape here that we have on the XKeys. You know, that is the bottom line. It does look slightly more professional. Not to diss the XKeys, because they both do the same job and they work very well, but you know, I think there's just something to be said for the build quality, the finish, and the look and feel of the Skaarhoj. Now, whether it's worth paying the premium price tag for it, I'll leave that up to you guys. This row here controls kind of generic sort of functions on Mix 1. So I've talked about the transitions. You can also control previous and next items, so that's helpful for things like lists. So if you might have lists going on where you want to skip through some different things, that would be quite cool. These buttons are like 4-way buttons, so you can press this side of the button, this will take you to Mix 2. You know, with VMix, with only having the 2 outputs, it's possibly not something you want to be doing a lot of, but you can, you know, it's there. It's nice to know it's there, and so is 3 and 4. Let's go back to mix 1. Up here you have these sort of general selections menu kind of item buttons where you can control what's happening with your audio. You can see a little VU meter of your master audio there. You can change audio busing and that sort of thing. You have to press shift to go back, which is a bit, you know, it's kind of one of those things. You can see the buses here where we have access to overlays, and we can change the different overlay sources if we wanted to. So yeah, that is, you know, it's very nice. It all lights up and you can configure it. I believe you can configure it further and deeper than I have gone. So if I just bring back up the 2 box here. Now this is the main sort of screen of Reactor, and I've talked about how it pulls in your inputs from VMix. In the configuration menu, things go a little bit deeper. I have to be honest, I've not had quite as much time with Reactor and with this panel as I'd like, although I've still had it for a fair couple of weeks. So again, thank you, big shout out to Mark at Eastwood Sound and Vision for the loan of this panel and to let me get my head around it and also kind of make this video. So thank you to you guys. I've not really had as much time as I think you probably need with Reactor in order to get the most out of it. So, I mean, Reactor itself, if you go into the configuration screen, it is pretty complicated, and it's not something that you're going to be able to pick up very quickly. But we can see that we have these switcher inputs here, and this is another way that you can change the order and the layout. But as far as looking at the second layer of keys, so for example mix 2, if I go to mix 2, it will go to mix 2. Now if I want to change the behavior of these keys here, there's definitely a way that you can do it, right? Using quick classes, you need to set up another quick class, I believe, or different quick classes and layers for how the various feedback works. But the interface is very, very pretty, but it is also pretty complex compared to, you know, the elegance and simplicity of central control or the neatness of Companion. This is more engineering based, I think, and for options to code things, and yeah, I think is definitely overall probably a very advanced a feature that perhaps more advanced users will really appreciate. So, you know, it's not to dismiss Reactor and to say, hey, Reactor's way too complicated, because you can see that I have it configured and I have it working, and the panel is, as I said, beautifully made, and is really a joy to operate. This version here is the standard version. It's not the version with NKK buttons. Now, if I was going to pick up one of these, I would be looking to buy the version with the NKK buttons. These soft keys, they are nice, but I think they're better suited to the, you know, they're better suited to what you have when you are working up here on this area of the controller. I think the soft keys are nice, and the multifunction and the kind of moving and changing volumes and things with the keys is cool. But, you know, in terms of just kind of show the tactile feel and the response, the lighting is beautiful, the feel is beautiful, the displays are beautiful, but the keys themselves, to me, if you're gonna basically stump up the cash for one of these, then you've got to go with the NKK buttons. You have to, because they're gonna feel much nicer under the fingers. So with the Steamdeck, we have a fantastic device that through Companion is infinitely configurable, can be used with other devices alongside it, and the cost is very appealing. If you don't have one, then go and get one. Have a look, pick one up, download Companion, and start to see how it can really help your workflow. The XKeys 124 T-Bar is still not an entry-level product because it's very expensive. I didn't talk about Central Control's ability to use many different controllers, so, you know, from Akai synthesizers, lots of different devices that you can use Central Control for, so it is not just for the XKeys. If you have a a TriCaster panel that you can get your hands on, you can program your TriCaster panel using central control to do what you want it to do, and that is a really powerful feature of the central control software, which again is also very affordable and very versatile with the different devices that you can control. Then we come to the Skaarhoj, beautifully made, fabulously engineered panel. The software, I think, is still pretty much in its infancy. They're transitioning over from the Unisketch, so I do think that in time they will hopefully be able to simplify the personal configuration of the panel with Reactor, but out of the box it works. It has all the main functionality that you want it to have, and if you're looking for PTZ control right inside your controller, then the Scarhoist expertise from their other controllers is built into this panel, and that really does make it a very attractive proposition for those of you who really want a premium product and something that looks super professional and really slick there on your desk. So thank you so much for watching and supporting the channel. If you enjoyed this video, do give us a like and a subscribe, and stay tuned for more video production and live streaming content in the near future. Take care.